I'm
doing?
doing good. How are you?
I am so good. I am so good. Brooke, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Yeah.
This is not my forte to set up the the
Oh,
lives. And so I have had my own quick tutorial on what to do. And I want to give myself a hand clap and
woo!
applause
Yes.
because
I will
we're
give
here
you a
together.
yeah.
Thank you for joining me on our Climax After Dark.
No
How you doing?
problem. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. I'm not super familiar with Instagram Lives either, so I was like, okay, I think I clicked the button now.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that.
Okay, so I'm going to hand clap you also for getting it right tonight.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
we do these sessions every couple of weeks. Generally, we're on YouTube doing it, but we're trying a new thing, being on Instagram and bringing it to our followers on Instagram. So this is Climax After Dark, where we talk about all things that happen in the dark, and that one of those things is sex. And so, as a practice, we deal with sexual wellness and sexual medicine. And I'm so glad to have you here because I spoke at your event earlier in the year, your Beauty Boost event, and it was a wonderful time and conversation with your members about not only women's health, but sexual health and what that means to the everyday woman.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us back in January. That was
Yeah,
great.
it was a wonderful time. And, I think we had a great time in talking about and learning together what are those things that are important. So, can you tell me a little bit about, or tell us a little bit about Beauty Boost, who you all are, and also why did you start the organization here in Hampton Roads?
Yeah. Yeah. So long story short, Beauty Boost started back in 2015 and we started in Columbus, Ohio. So we started as a way for women to come together and really just have a good time, pour into themselves and support local businesses
Hmm.
at the same time. So we do this through empowerment workshops, like the speaking event in January. We do it through like retreats and socials and different things like that, all surrounded by health, wellness, and beauty. And for me personally, I got involved with Beauty Boost, I want to say back in like 2021
Hmm.
originally. And I'm originally from Ohio. So I found them through the Instagram grapevine of all of the recommended channels and all of that. And then I started following the Richmond location. I got in touch with the Richmond owner, started speaking on their panel of women in wellness last year. And then fast forward, I was like, you know what? Hampton Roads really needs
Hmm.
this. And in a serendipitous kind of way, brought it here. So it's been really, really great. And it's really fulfilling, I'm sure, as you know as well, to be able to connect with other women in the health and wellness space
Yeah.
and really just hear other people's perspectives, hear people's, struggles and triumphs, and just kind of like walk that road together.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of what I love about it.
And so, if you had to say, like, what is the main thing that you have had, or you've learned, or that you've come to recognize through each of your events that women are worried about when it comes to overall wellness and overall health?
I would say from more of like a mental wellness standpoint, kind of confidence
Hmm.
and being able to really kind of tune into themselves
Hmm.
and put their authentic self forward.
Hmm.
And even just kind of coming to different events and things like that could be scary if you go by yourself, or if you don't have, if you don't know a lot of people in the area, things like that. And then also, I feel like as women, we are also kind of conscious of the way that we look
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And so that could be as simple as picking out an outfit to go to one of these events, or that could be as something as, oh my gosh, I hope my armpits aren't sweating right now,
Hmm.
or I hope, I'm not smelling in funny places, things like that. I think it's kind of like a catch-all, I guess, of what I've heard.
Yeah. They say that when women get together, or when women go out, we don't dress for, if we have a male partner, we don't dress for our male partner or dress for other men. We actually dress for other women.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that theme goes along, and many may be able to um, find that as a common thread and a common understanding, because I definitely know when I go out and I get a compliment on my outfit from another woman, I'm excited because I know I did it right.
Right.
Um, but does that bring and improve my self-confidence, you know? And I even take that like to the bedroom. What's our self-confidence and how we appear in the bedroom, right? Whether it's with lingerie or it's with our perfect bodies, you know, because all bodies are perfect bodies. You know, how do we start to, how can we actually start to improve and work on our self confidence so it goes through each stage of our day and then each stage of our life, friendships, work, also, you know, and with our partners when we're home together.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I love that you said that, it kind of stair steps its way throughout your day.
Mhm.
Like it's not like, you wake up and you feel either crummy or you feel fabulous, or it could go either way, but it definitely trickles throughout your day, whether you're out and about, whether you're in the office, and then you come home, and then, if you're not feeling good about yourself, or if you're not feeling sexy, or if you're not feeling like your best, that's not going to make you want to, get naked, or that's not going to make you
Yeah.
want to put on lingerie or do any of those things. So I think it's really important to, like you said, to love your body in its different stages, because every body is beautiful, no matter if, everybody is beautiful. It doesn't matter what size you are, what color your skin, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that beauty really comes from the inside out. And it's
Mm-hmm.
knowing that even if I don't feel my best right now, or if I feel like I went up a pant size, or if I feel like, I'm not looking as good
Yeah.
in this top as I did last year,
Yeah.
that's okay. I think it's a matter of celebrating you and celebrating the vessel that takes you through your days and that gives you energy to even just, show up at work, to show up for your kids, show up for your spouse.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's really like the biggest catalyst of it, because that shines from the inside out.
Yeah. So, you know, and with that, like you are building community,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with Beauty Boost. And we oftentimes talk about sexual wellness and sexual health and intimacy with partners being an isolated, um, being relational just between um, those two individuals that are in that relationship, right? In that sexual relationship. But what if we had like stronger communities outside? So where we're supporting ourselves or supporting one another as women, we're helping to like lean in and encourage other women to be the best that we can be in our own communities. Is there a way that maybe that can also strengthen our lives at home as mothers, as spouses, as you know, as in our own like sexual relationships also?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that, just like you said, when you get a compliment from another woman, even if it's as simple as, oh, I like your hair, or I like your dress, or I like your outfit, things like that, and really building each other up, versus I feel like that kind of takes away the stigma of feeling self-conscious
Mm-hmm.
of, oh, these jeans too tight, or is this shirt too baggy, or whatever. It's really telling people what you may be thinking in the moment that you might be afraid to tell someone, that could really make their day.
Mm-hmm.
So it could even be, I love your lipstick, or wow, your skin's really glowing. What kind of product do you use? I think in that sort of way, and not to say in like a vain sense, because it's not all about, the physical appearance, but I really do think that those little nuggets can go a long way of building each other up and helping each other feel good.
Yeah. You know, so um, I love lipstick. As
Mm-hmm.
you can see, I did not reapply my color for this evening, but I love a red lip,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when I see a red lip on another woman, I'm excited to, you know, just say, "Hey, you picked your red, you got your red," because I believe there is a red. One of my attendings in residency always said everyone has their own red. There's a red for everyone.
Uh-huh.
And to me, when you have red on, it's fierce. You are vibrant. You are vivacious. You are sexy. And you are also proud of it. You're not shying away. Not saying a muted pink is not pretty. It is, but something about a nice red, right?
Right.
But then you fast forward that to what it looks like with your partner, with your sexual partner. So if I have this red lip on today in the daytime and I'm killing it with my, I am loving wearing an up and down matching top and bottom these days, and I got my blazer and I know I'm getting like, girl, you doing it, from other women. When I go home, that level of confidence, no matter, I've not been beat down that day. And that
Yep.
level of confidence definitely can translate into the bedroom.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, you know, especially after a long day, because that's typically when you're seeing your partner. So
Yeah.
it's like you might see each other for 10 minutes in the morning, or maybe you won't, or whatever your schedule looks like. But when you get home, it's like your your day leading up to that 100% can affect the way that you feel with them. So yeah, if you feel like you're killing it in that red lipstick, then you're like, oh, okay, maybe, maybe I'm gonna
Mhm.
reapply
Yeah.
tonight, or maybe whatever.
Yeah. Because you're
Yeah.
then you're showing up as a more excited version of yourself at the end of the day for your partner. Because there is something to say about giving your best to others, right? And then also giving your best self to those that really care and love for you. Not always giving them like the crummy side of you. Like, let's be honest. You come home at the end of the day, you're tired, so you're only putting in so much effort. And I think by having these organizations like yours, where you are encouraging women to pour into themselves and pour into other women, that just helps to elevate that like positive energy that's being placed forward and goes into other aspects of their lives.
hmm I think that's so true. And especially being open enough to have the conversation with other
Yeah,
women, I think that's so impactful too, because then it can translate into having those conversations with your partner, whether it's, wanting to try new things, or maybe your sexual health isn't going the way that you want it or the way that you picture it, or, things like that. I feel like just having that
yeah.
openness and having that starting the conversation is half of the battle.
So let's talk about conversation, because that's one thing I find very interesting. We always, as women, shy away from the conversation of like sex, like the nitty gritty, right? The just the function and the application, and if it's enjoyable, if it's not enjoyable. Could you say on for you how many of your own friend groups or friends that you've been like that forthcoming to or with about your sexual history, sexual past, current sexual partners, just on a conversation level?
I would say with most of my friends personally, like our groups are fairly comfortable
Hmm.
talking about that, but we don't necessarily dig into the details unless
Hmm.
it's either something that's kind of like funny, like, oh, this goofy thing
Hmm.
happened, like accidentally ripped my underwear or whatever. Like,
Hmm.
we'll bring it up in that sense. Or if it's more of like a concern
Hmm.
personally, like, hey, this kind of happened the other day. Do you think that's weird? Or,
Hmm.
I was feeling this way. We'll bring it up. But when it comes to like, oh, we tried this new thing or things like that, we don't really kind of cross that line, I guess.
What do you think about members of Beauty Boost? Do you think on a day to day or in some of the other events that you've had outside of the one that I was a part of, are there any of like these just like real open conversations that are happening?
I would say yes. And it's hard, I think, to know like how all of these different conversations might be happening around the room that I might not hear.
Yeah,
But I definitely think that those conversations are starting, and it's more of a hey, like, we're in this together type of thing,
yeah.
in a supportive type of way.
So the reason I ask,
Mhm.
right, because I think conversation is a wonderful way to like show up as your authentic self, because then there are questions that you're asking too.
Right.
And, in women's sexual health, we're in, between a couple of months, we just had Women's History Month. We've had Black Maternal Health Week. We have Mother's Day coming up. We have a lot of celebrations of self and of women. But, you know, being that forthcoming and being in that energy where there's other women around and having these open conversations where you're just able to like feel comfortable enough to get the questions out basic questions.
Mhm.
That's also a way to really embrace self and really learn too, because who do you learn better from except those who've experienced it? And then who do you trust more than those that you're really close to?
Right. Exactly. And I think that's really impactful is being able to it's and it might be scary to like bring up those types of conversations with your friends if
Yeah.
you've never talked to somebody like that or if you've never really had those conversations. But I think if you really truly are close to them, they're probably feeling the same
Yeah.
way and they might want to talk about it also. So I think it's taking that leap and taking that step into the uncomfortable territory and saying, okay, let's talk about this. And it can start in the smallest of ways, and then maybe you open the door for more serious conversations about it or more intimate
Yeah.
conversations about
So, in my practice and in my field, I talk about it all day, every day.
it. Mm-hmm.
And that's just, one, I'm very comfortable doing it, but two, I see the need for it, right? And I think it also just is education, but it's also empowering and freeing. Because to your point, there's a lot of us who think that there are some normals out there that are not normal. And then there are some things that are abnormal that actually most people are going through. And one is just like plain desire,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do you have that, not just energy, but just desire to have sex? And the amount of desire definitely can drastically decrease very early
Mm-hmm.
in a woman's life, even in her 20s. And there are really good pharmaceuticals out there that can help women across the line early, mid, and also late. So early in your 20s, early 30s, mid, perimenopause, and even postmenopause to just drive desire that has nothing to do with hormone. Did you know
Mm-hmm.
that?
No, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. That's really interesting.
Because that's one thing we oftentimes talk about, like testosterone, right? So
Right.
estrogen being our hormone that helps make us who we are as women, but testosterone being that one hormone that can give us a drive, help us increase our confidence, self-esteem, so on and so forth. But there's a lot of other things out there that can do the same thing. You may not have like a hormonal imbalance when we talk about like sex hormones. You may just have another form of imbalance for brain chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so just making sure that these things are known, in communities and in women groups, I think is important. But, getting to that answer is easier when we are a bit more forthcoming with the fact that there may be a problem or that the problem is not an uncommon thing to have.
Right. I think that's the biggest thing is not feeling alone and not feeling like, yeah, like it's uncommon or that, it's taboo to even bring up or to talk about. And like for instance, I had no idea that there was, different ways and different levels of decreased desire, even in your 20s or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really impactful the more education that's out there and the more that people can learn and the more that they can feel comfortable bringing and saying, hey, this happened or this might not be quite on par with what I was expecting. And I think a lot of times too, there's kind of a stigma and a way that women can beat themselves down on saying, oh, okay, my partner says that I'm never in the mood,
Mm-hmm.
or, I feel like I'm never in the mood, or things like that. I feel like a lot of times that can really kind of dwindle your self confidence. And that just might be self talk, you talking to yourself in your head. And I think the more that you kind of bring that up and the more that you are able to ask questions to a professional or to your friends, it's like, oh, okay, there's ways that I can help that. There's ways that, we're not all born perfect with this perfect set of hormones and this perfect set of, desire
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
all of these things. There's ways that we can help.
So how do you like them prioritize that? What are some of the tips that Beauty Boost gives to its members to prioritize advocacy? Because that's one thing, right? Advocating for yourself, advocating for your own understanding, prioritize self-care, self-love. Am I worth it? Am I worth um, um, this beauty routine?
Right.
Right? Am I worth this time that I can take for myself and my friends, like this extra time? Am I worth good sex? How do we prioritize that and put it into our daily routines?
I'm so glad that you asked that. I think a lot of times, and that's really, really tied into our purpose at the Beauty Boost is across all of our 28 cities.
Mm-hmm.
That is our main goal is for women to have this date on their calendar to say, okay, this is the time. I might not have prioritized myself all week. I might not have prioritized myself all month,
Mm-hmm.
but this is the time that either I can go by myself, I can bring some girlfriends, I can make some new friends, and whether it's coming to our event and getting a simple 5 minute mini
Mm-hmm.
massage or buying a new skincare product or, just really having that time. We even have meditation events. We have our fitness samplers coming up. That's different workouts. We have all different kinds all throughout health, wellness, beauty as a purposeful interaction for women to come together and to at least take 2.5 hours out of their entire month to prioritize that. And then hoping that that trickles into, oh, maybe I did buy this new lotion for my skin. So now I'm going to use it every morning. Or
Mm-hmm.
now I learned this new meditation practice.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to try to prioritize that once a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's so important no matter what amount of time you have, even if it's 5 minutes, locking yourself in your bathroom, just to sit and just to be and close your eyes, sit there in the dark if you want to, sit there with a candle and just relax and take time for yourself. It doesn't necessarily have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be this flashy thing. It doesn't have to be a new handbag. It can be in any sort of form. Just starting small for 2 hours a month, and it can trickle into 5 minutes a week.
It's recentering, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's recentering and then also recentering with positive energy around you, everyone in the same room with the same intention set. So that's a really powerful thing that can help your own purpose for being there to be that purpose to be driven home even further. You know, there's making a new friend and also making a new friend that you both have the same intentions or being in the same space with kindred spirits. I think that's an amazing thing that you offer and that you provide to women.
Thank you. Yeah, that's so impactful as they always say you're the five people that you surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's kind of hard to see the forest before the trees if you feel like, oh my gosh, every time, I hang out with this friend, I feel drained or I feel like I'm not connecting with this certain group anymore or maybe I feel like I'm changing and the others around me aren't changing. So we try to provide that space for ladies to come and even if they feel like the only one of their friend group that might be into, yoga, or if they feel like
Mm-hmm.
they're the only one that's really wanting to prioritize their wellness and
Mm-hmm.
maybe their other friends are going out, drinking on the weekends or going out and doing all these crazy things and maybe they're not into that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We really try to cultivate that space for people like-minded women to come together and say, oh yeah, I like that too, oh that's good, and it
Mm-hmm.
it really helps you feel like you're not stuck in the same spot and that there's other opportunities out there.
So for those women who are like, you're in an area where there's not a beauty boost,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is not already cultivated for you, but you're trying to build a strong support system for yourself. What are some ways that they can do that?
I That's another another thing that I'm so glad you asked. For me personally, so I grew up in a very small town in rural Ohio. I'm talking like less than 9,000 people, 7 square miles. There was nothing, nothing to be had. We didn't even have a Walmart.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Did y'all have a Dollar General
No,
at least?
we didn't. We
Wow.
had a McDonald's. We had it was a dollar store, but it wasn't even a Dollar General brand. Oh, it was Family Dollar. That's what it was.
Okay, at
Um,
least.
right, right. We had the McDonald's, the Family Dollar, and like a pizza
Uh-huh.
place. But and I kind of grew up in a space where I didn't really have like a strong like female figure in my life. And so that's honestly like my personal reason for wanting to start the Beauty Boost and
Yeah.
wanting to be a part of it is because not everybody has that around them.
Yeah.
And I had, my sisters were really influential, but they were off doing their own thing. So I think it starts with finding, even if it's tools online, if it's a podcast, if it's an
Mm-hmm.
audiobook, if it's a YouTube video. That's personally where I started. And that, I don't know, that was back in, I mean, I know I'm not that old, but that was probably back in like 2006. I started
Mm-hmm.
finding YouTube videos where people were, positive, and people were, I think, I don't even know who some of the first people I followed were. I started watching Oprah videos, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
anything that you can find that you tune in with, and it'll take you a couple of tries. You might click on a couple things, couple podcasts, couple videos that you might not really resonate with. You just
Mm-hmm.
keep going, and
Mm-hmm.
luckily now technology is so evolved to where it'll keep showing you the next best
Yeah.
thing. It'll say, oh, you didn't like this, you can go to the next one. So I think that that's really impactful. And then books as well. I used to read a lot, and I personally spent a lot of time by myself reading. And so it was a lot of like self reflection and kind of self help books, like Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
read a lot of those. I think I read just about every single one. Um, things like that. And then through those small things, you can start to cultivate that in your own life, even if you
Mm-hmm.
don't have that community around you.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I mean, it's still again being focused and intentional in what you're trying to achieve and growing from within. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I always talk about the way that you know what you need is also by figuring out what you like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that is knowing self, and that's going to come along. That thing you're going to continue finding, no matter if you are in relationships or you are on your own. You're going to have to continue to find that the stronger you are as an individual, the better that you're going to perform in a big setting. And so that also goes right along with sex. The stronger you are as a individual person, the more you understand and realize what you should be expecting within your sexual relationship. And that is so much, that is something I really want women to know and understand. You can't expect it if you don't, accept it, like if you don't know it. Um, I do want to ask you like a personal question because I know Beauty Boost is not just focused on beauty, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um, there's so many new things on Instagram. Like you can scroll and see like new fads all the time.
Right.
Um, some that, as a doctor, I think make no
Mm.
sense, and some that actually look interesting. Um, do you know any like beauty rituals or practices? Like what's on the up and up and that the young people are doing? Unlike you, I'm not that young. And then from other cultures, what's out there that's like worth actually exploring and doing.
Yeah. Um, so I think a lot of times, yeah, you typically tend to see all the TikToks and the videos and try this new product. And a lot of it can kind of be like sales and marketing based, where like, I don't know if you remember the days of like the St. Ives
Mm-hmm.
scrub, and
Mm-hmm.
it was like really, really
Mm-hmm.
harsh on your skin. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what everybody was
Yeah,
using back in
honey, I remember
2010,
the
you know?
peach.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. I had it too. And it's
Apricot.
like, yep, apricot. That's what I was trying to remember. I was like, grapefruit. But yeah, so it's kind of like, okay, everybody was using that until they found out that it was bad. Right now, I would say clean
Mm-hmm.
ingredients are the most important. So that's personally what I try to look for. And to be honest, I wish that, I had a fail safe like routine, but I'm still trying new products. I'm still trying to figure out, what's best, I'm always Googling things. There's a lot of websites too that can pull out specific ingredients. Like if you scan a label
Mm.
and it'll tell you like what those ingredients mean and what it's
Mm-hmm.
made out of, things like that. And then I know like for me personally, and I know like a lot of people around me, not tested on animals.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And then same thing with like I guess for other cultures skincare, I think about I know that there's a lot of banned ingredients
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
overseas that
Yes.
we're still using in the US.
Yeah.
So brands like we were sponsored personally by Typology,
Mm-hmm.
That's a really clean skincare brand, and they're French. So
Hmm.
literally, when you look at the packaging, I'm not sure if you saw any of our products at the event, but it's literally like written in French.
Hmm.
But I trust it because I know the science behind it, and I know that
Hmm.
all of the translations through it and everything like that. I know that those ingredients are what they're saying they are, and it's not just this big marketing scheme that's sometimes pushed to us in the US. Same thing, I know Korean skincare
Hmm.
is fairly more clean than the US. I personally haven't tried any of theirs, but I know that that's also a big trend right now. And I actually saved a video yesterday about a different brand that I thought was interesting. So I think it's really like diving deep and not just
Yeah.
believing what you see.
Well, wonderful point, because you are right. I mean, you can still find formaldehyde,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean, who would put, where do I see formaldehyde in my office in the little cups I send to the lab when I'm doing a biopsy or something, right? But you can
Mm-hmm.
still find formaldehyde in a lot of products, which is ultra disgusting and very harmful to skin. So clean ingredients exactly, and I would always say sunblock, right,
Yep.
to preserve what you have. But one thing I think a lot of people don't realize with ingredients is just because it's going on your skin doesn't mean that it's not going into your bloodstream.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
so you can put it on your skin just fine, but there are going to be traces in your blood, and so once it gets into your blood, it goes everywhere, and especially up here, especially down there, and that can definitely impact libido. It can impact mood. It can impact what your vagina gets during sex. So there are a lot of just common meds that a lot of us do every day, either because we need them. Like if you're here in the Hampton Roads area, if you're not taking an antihistamine, you're not my friend, because we all are needing it these days. But antihistamines can dry you out, not just nasal passages, but your vagina too. It can make sex more painful. Um, and some other meds, not to talk only about antihistamines, can decrease just your drive, your want for sex. So that definitely can also happen with applications of beauty products. I see a lot of people using, like a lot of women, they'll oftentimes use like something that's progesterone based, like a
Oh,
progesterone based cream. They do make products that have progesterone on it that people, I have had patients put on their face, but I mean, I wouldn't just put that on all willy nilly, because again, that will absorb and you will have higher progestins or progesterones that can impact other parts of your health, especially your sexual health. So you're wise. That's true. Know your ingredients. Do you know those websites where you can, because like some ingredients are putting the actual chemical name on, so you don't actually know. Like it may be hard to understand what it actually is in layman's terms. Do you have that website handy where people can type in?
I don't, but I can message it to you,
Okay.
and then we can let people know. I
Okay.
wish I did. I should have wrote it down.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually a really good idea. As clean as you can be.
Mm-hmm.
As clean as you can be product wise.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you said. I honestly didn't think of it absorbing into your sexual health as well. Like
Hmm.
I knew,
Hmm.
like everything goes through your skin and it's absorbed, but I really did not transfer that sexually. So I think that's
Hmm.
really interesting.
Well, then also containers. Like, what is your product contained in? Also, right? So
Okay.
some aligners of containers. You have a lot of containers that are what is it called? PB. Um, I'm having a brain fart now, but that may be free of certain substances that can be used in preservatives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you will have like cups that are free of these preservatives, and cans that are now free of these preservatives. Well, those preservatives can be pro or anti-estrogen, depending on what they're putting there. So that can definitely have, you're taking them orally or putting them on your skin. That can definitely have an effect on you as a woman, you as a man, whoever's using it, if it's pro or anti-estrogen. So to your point, it's just being mindful. Unfortunately, in this country, we're not really great in removing a lot of the toxins in what we provide to people, especially the less expensive it is.
Right.
Yeah.
The more convenient, the less expensive,
Yeah.
that seems to win the gamut
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Well, we got to do better, but we start one step at a time. And I think what you all are doing is great. We're starting off by building stronger communities, stronger connections with women so that we feel more confident in who we are as individuals and also more supported to express ourselves as individuals, as groups of women, and to live better, healthier lives all around and to have better sex too.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And I agree. I think it all goes hand in hand. And I feel like a lot of times women's sexual health particularly kind of gets overlooked because and luckily, we're not stuck in like the 1950s kind of mentality of it anymore, but we still have a long way
Yeah.
to go, I think, of really bringing up that conversation and really diving deep and knowing that, like, okay, as a woman, it's okay for you to want to feel good too. It's
Yeah.
not just all about your
Yeah.
partner. It's not all about the guy. It's not all about the girl. It's, you're allowed to be selfish in that sense of
Yeah.
wanting you to have the best experience
Yeah.
possible. And there's so many aspects that go into it, inside and out.
Yeah. If you're having sex and your objective is not to have an orgasm, then you should stop and go do something else, right?
Right.
And so, and because when a man is having sex, he's having an orgasm.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a woman, that's what we should be expecting at the end. And there again, many things out there. One is just being supported, like feeling heard and feeling sexy and feeling loved, and being empowered. And so, if you're in organizations and groups where you are able to come into your full self, that's great because it's going to lead into all aspects of your life. Um, but we have to normalize and the demand for better sex because that's how we get a better purchasing dollar. That's how we get more research. That's how we get all of these things. I was talking to um, someone the other day about this medication called Addie. It's a medication meant for premenopausal women who
Mm-hmm.
have low desire. And it's meant to help, it's non hormonal, it's meant to help increase your desire. By increasing your desire, you can have better orgasms, right? And so, to get it, for your insurance to cover it, you definitely need to have a certain diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the medication is out there
Right.
and the condition is out there. And so, hand in hand, you have a condition, you have a medication, you have a treatment that can help resolve. But is there a big uh, push for prescriptions? That's a whole nother conversation. And that's because poor sex has to be looked at as a problem, or lack of orgasm for a woman needs to be seen as a problem, not just her own issue, right? And so, we have to have that demand. And I think when we're in these groups of women and we're empowering each other more to ask that question, do I deserve? Should I have? Can it be better? And those questions aren't being pushed down and pushed away because we're women, right? We're being empowered and saying, no, my sister over here is saying, yes, you should have, you should ask, you do deserve. My friend over here is saying the same thing. And so I'm going to go and demand, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm going to demand for, oral sex. It is not an abnormal thing for a woman to have oral sex performed on her, right? I'm going to demand for foreplay before sex. I'm going to demand for all these things. When we start to normalize that, then that's when we get to that second part. Because you're right, we're not in the 50s anymore, but we're certainly not where we need to be as a country. And I can go on and on about that.
I'm right there with you. I was thinking of so many things. I was like, yep, yeah. Yeah.
But
I think it's oh, go
no,
ahead.
go ahead.
Sorry.
Say it.
It's so impactful. And I feel like too, the more different types of conversations you have with different people as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you bring it up around your girlfriends, maybe they're all having the same issue. But if you hear it from someone else as well, then I think that's where the conversation really kind of like playing a game of telephone. It goes down the line where it's like, okay, maybe all my friends agree, like, yeah, none of us have orgasms or
Mm-hmm.
none of us, And it can kind of create that negative perception
Mhm.
until you hear that one person that says, no, you're supposed
Yeah.
to, or no, it can feel good.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh my gosh, oh, okay, there's a light bulb that went off. And it's not necessarily that big, that negative sentiment that can get passed
Yeah.
around, I guess.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. And again, we got to keep moving it forward. Your group, and anytime you want me to come talk, I'm very happy to do that. And we all should be talking amongst ourselves as women about how can we make sex better for ourselves? How can we make sex more enjoyable? How can we ensure that every time we have sex, we have an orgasm and it is an amazing orgasm? So having those it starts with normalizing the fact that you're owed that, and talking to somebody if you're not, to look for ways that you can. And surrounding yourself with other like minded women who are radiating positivity, embracing um, self love, and exuding confidence so that we can all breathe into one another.
Yes, 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 and yes. I wish that I could repeat back everything that you said. All of that 100% is what I personally believe in, what all of our girls across the Beauty Boost here and nationwide believe in. And we're really happy to partner with people like you to raise awareness, raise that conversation, and provide that space for women to be comfortable and to connect with each other and to say, hey, we're in this together, we're doing it, we're all similar, we're all different, and we're gonna march on, we're gonna do it
Yeah,
together.
yeah. For those who may be interested in joining Beauty Boost, can you give information on how they would do that?
Yeah. So anybody can come to any of our events. If you want to get a year pass membership, you can do that. And that gets you into all of the events throughout the year. If you have a really busy schedule and it's kind of crazy, totally, you can come to any of the events throughout the year. We sell our tickets through Eventbrite. So you'll see all of the links on my profile. You can follow us on Instagram. You'll see all of our upcoming events. We have our fitness sampler coming up in
Mm-hmm.
May. It's May 19th at New Realm Brewery. We would love to have you there. And then after that, we have all different kinds of summer ones. So follow us on Instagram. You'll see the latest. Follow us on Eventbrite, and we'd love to have
Thank
you.
Thank you so much. And let me say this one other thing about Beauty Boost, which I found amazing when I came in January. You have women of all ages, all ethnicities, all walks of life coming together. So it's not just one demographic. You will not feel alone. You will not feel isolated. You will not feel out of place because you will find a friend there. Someone that's similar and someone that's different, someone that you can relate to, and somebody that can teach you something. So thank you so much for being on here, Brooke. Thank you for inviting me in January, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for inviting me here as well.
Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Yeah,
This is
thanks,
After
guys.
Dark. Have a
Yeah,
good one, my dear. Thank you.
thank you. You
Bye.
too. Bye.